Well, I've shipped over 25,000 orders using Printify, and I've shipped over 10,000 orders with Printify in the last 18 months. So whether you're already doing print on demand or whether you're looking at starting a print on demand business model, I have gathered all of my tips and tricks here in this one video so you can save time, money, and be successful that much quicker. The first thing that is unique and different about Printify is that it is simply a platform for many different print on demand fulfillment centers. You simply add your graphic as a PNG file, and then you choose which item it gets printed on by one of these print on demand providers. Printify itself doesn't print or fulfill any of the orders for you. Printify is more like a middleman that helps you connect your store to one of these providers. And then Printify is the one that provides you with customer service. So if you're asking how the item quality on Printify compares with another print on demand provider, you really have to compare the individual print provider on Printify, as the quality, production, and shipping speed will vary greatly with the different providers on Printify. For example, I've used Monster Digital for the vast majority of my orders in the last 3 years, and I find the quality and production speed to be exceptional. Most of the time, it does seem like most of my orders are shipped out in 1 to 2 days, but it does happen where something goes sideways, and it can definitely take longer for individual orders. So still take the time to put the correct fulfillment time on your individual items. However, no matter which Printify company or companies you decide to go with, you always need to check which country they are located in and which individual products they offer. Definitely keep in mind that the fulfillment times of these individual print providers can vary greatly. And some of the companies will let you cancel an item immediately after it is ordered, and other providers will not. I've definitely found that this varies from provider to provider. Because all of my customers are on Etsy, I frequently get customers who request to change the size or item after they've ordered, and it's always helpful if I can still cancel the item and reorder the item manually. I also prefer it when the print provider uses USPS over DHL, but sometimes there's no way to know, and this requires a bit of experimentation depending on the item and the print provider. For US print providers, many of the companies have their fulfillment center located just on the other side of the border in Mexico, and the shipment tracking doesn't begin to start to update until USPS or DHL actually has the item. And this can be infuriating for customers wondering why the tracking on their item isn't updating. So you need to be prepared on how you're going to answer your customer messages on how the item has shipped, but the tracking hasn't updated. In my messages and descriptions, I generally say that the tracking might take 24 to 72 hours to begin updating, but please reach out if it hasn't started to update for a week or more. Now, at this point, we need to discuss the customer service you receive from Printify. There are multiple ways to access customer service on Printify, but again, remember, this isn't the print provider you're reaching out to directly. You're speaking with someone from Printify. You can access customer service here by typing live agent, or you can go into each item that you've ordered and select submit an issue. And then they will respond to your request via email. I personally find that this saves me a lot of time and I don't have to wade through all of the prompts in their customer service chat. Printify's customer service has improved immensely over the past 3 years. And they've continued to add additional features so we don't have to access them as often, such as being able to cancel an item after the fact. And of course, this is fantastic. If you are reaching out to customer service, you will need the order number. And if there is an issue with the item, you generally need photos from your customer. I typically ask customers for a photo of the whole item laid flat with natural lighting, and then again, perhaps a close-up of the specific issue. This will save you a ton of time when you do need to reach out for customer service on Printify. And of course, keep in mind that print problems and issues do occur from time to time. And unfortunately, especially around the holiday rush in December, as many seasonal workers are brought in. So be kind to the customer service folks. There's really only so much that they can do. So for example, if your customer has requested a reprint prior to the holidays and perhaps they ordered on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I have often found that these reprints don't make it on time for Christmas, and you might get angry customers, so be mindful of this and perhaps offer a refund instead. Now, if you've already created a Printify account, you might have noticed a feature called order routing. And order routing is a feature for your item to be printed by a different print provider than normal. And this is in case your item is out of stock or perhaps there's a major issue with your normal print provider. So hopefully your items can still be fulfilled in a timely manner. Now, personally, I have this feature turned off because more often than not these days, it's a very temporary glitch and the item is still in stock or it will be within a couple hours. And I usually find that this happens on Sundays or perhaps at the end of a long weekend when perhaps the person in charge of doing stock or the team in charge of keeping items stocked hasn't been at work to keep things flowing smoothly. I do also micromanage my orders, so I do have them set to fulfill manually instead of automatically. As many customers on Etsy will order an item and then simply put a note or send you a message to change the item to a completely different item with a completely different design. Of course, this tends to happen when I'm already asleep. And if the item was being fulfilled automatically, well, then I'd have to pay for a new one. So it's just not worth it to me personally. A newer feature that I am super excited about is package inserts and gift notes on Printify. So far, this hasn't been expanded to all print providers and items, but it is extremely handy to have gift notes imported automatically from Etsy. And it's written on a little note card and inserted in the package with the order. Do double check the print providers and items this feature is available with, as right now it's mostly shirts and sweatshirts, but not on mugs. Of course, I'm hopeful this will change in the future. You also need to know that it's not currently possible to edit or to add a gift note after the order was placed on Etsy. So if the customer asks you to add or to change something after the fact, you then need to cancel and refund the order and hope that they'll reorder with the correct gift note in the correct spot. So hopefully the ability to edit gift notes can change in the future. There is a fee for package inserts and gift notes of 15 cents or 10 cents if you have Printify Premium. Shipping speed and the cost of shipping are other factors to take into account when choosing a specific print provider. If you want to ship to Europe, it might make more sense for an item to ship from a print provider in Europe directly. And if you want to ship to Canada, it might make more sense to choose a print provider that is already in Canada. Now, this doesn't have so much to do with the cost of shipping itself, but as a Canadian myself, I do know that imported items can linger at Canadian customs for long periods of time, and the tracking might not update for several weeks while the item is waiting to be inspected. These types of issues can be a real hassle, so you might want to choose a print provider accordingly. Currently, I only ship to the US, and I find that most items make it quite quickly to any part of the country, no matter where they ship from. Again, if the tracking for the item stops updating for more than a few days, then reach out to Printify customer service and find out if the item is truly lost. More often than not, the item has simply missed a scan and it shows up at the destination sooner than later. Keep in mind that, like everything these days, prices on Printify do change from time to time. Luckily, they have improved the communication of these changes. However, definitely be sure to read your emails from Printify regularly to avoid being stung by not raising your item or shipping prices accordingly. Scaling. This is a newer feature on Printify, and it generally means that different size shirts will have different size graphics, even though the graphic size shown on the Printify product creator will show you a specific graphic size. The graphic size is what your customers will receive on size large and larger shirts and sweatshirts and tank tops and all of the above. However, for small and medium-sized shirts, the graphic will be smaller than what you see in the Printify product creator. It will be scaled down. So for example, if the maximum width Printify allows is 15 inches in the product creator, the small t-shirts might end up with the graphic printing at 11 inches. Now, I've fiddled around with this and reached out to customer service for hours and hours. And generally, I multiply by 0.87 if I want the graphic size on the medium shirt to be the same as the large, and then multiply by 0.87 again for a small. This isn't 100% precise, but it's what works for me in Monster Digital. I find that a 15-inch wide graphic size is too large on a large or extra large shirt, but 11 inches on a size small would be perfect. So I have to mess around and have different products for all these different sizes. Do make sure that the graphic is larger for your small and medium-sized shirts, or your customers will be quite surprised when they receive a small shirt with a teeny tiny little graphic. If you don't adjust and account for the scaling of the graphic on your shirt. There are a couple different ways to sync Printify with your Etsy shop. You can choose to create the product in Printify first, or create the listing in Etsy first and fulfill the item in Printify later. I find it more convenient to create the listing in Etsy first, so this is what I do, because this was how I had my shop originally set up. And then it's easier for me to just copy a listing and change the photos and the text as I need. I also don't sync each print file with Printify up front. Instead, I wait until an item has been ordered and then I sync the print files with each individual order and item. To me, it seems like a waste of time to go through and sync all of the print files if I don't even know if an item will sell to begin with. It makes more sense to me to spend my time on creating more listings than spending hours and hours on each one. It just makes sense to me to do it on an as-needed basis because I also don't have the time to do it all at once. Finally, when an item is ordered, I simply click on the tab that says Other Orders. I select the item and the print file and then pay for that item on my credit card, and then the tracking will automatically sync with my Etsy shop. I can then select to fulfill an item automatically with the same item and print file, which then gives me the option to simply approve a future order if and when that occurs. Now, it's incredible that there are so many different colors and styles of t-shirts and mugs available with these print providers, but you do need to know that different color shirts will print differently, and it does take some time and perhaps a few refunds to figure out what designs look best on which color shirts. To avoid many issues, I do try to make my photo in Etsy look as realistic as possible by lowering the opacity and the fill of the graphic on Photoshop, as the printed colors won't generally look as vibrant and bright as they do on Photoshop. So you do need to account for this to manage customer expectations effectively. Many customers really love the light heather gray t-shirts, but only bolder colors will be visible, so be mindful of this. Whereas the dark heather gray shirts are very dark, so only lighter color graphics will show up. Also, graphics that color large areas in bold colors might end up looking cracked or faded, like for example, a large red rectangle. So if you don't lower the opacity of the print file on Photoshop, then your customers can be upset. I used to use only white or black text to avoid some of these issues. Now, all print designs on fabrics do have a base of white underneath, but if you are printing with white, you need to change the hex code. So it prints 2 layers of ink, the base coat and then a top coat like all other colors. And this is especially helpful and necessary for sweatshirts. So I use FE, and it does seem to improve the print quality immensely. One of the great things about being able to sell online is to take advantage of holiday sales rushes, but it's important to know that customers have to order well in advance to receive their items on time. If the customer orders the day before Valentine's Day, they won't receive their item by Valentine's Day. So always check the holiday order cutoff dates for certain times of year to make sure you are correctly indicating whether or not a customer will receive their item on time, and to ensure your customer is okay with it being late, or perhaps they need to purchase priority shipping. Customers do not like surprises, and in the customer's mind, if one online business can get them their item on the same day that they ordered, then they might think that you can as well. Be sure to communicate these deadlines to customers in shop or item descriptions, or even in the messages they receive after they've ordered, which you can set up automatically so they can message you to cancel their item if it won't arrive on time. Once your customer has ordered their item, now you need to order the item on Printify. Then once you receive payment from Etsy or Shopify or wherever you are selling, then you pay off the credit card that you are using. I do not like to add funds to a Printify account because I prefer to hang on to my money as long as possible. And at the same time, I have experienced issues with a wide variety of credit card issuers, as some credit card issuers do not like to see an enormous volume of transactions going through, like one after the other, as frequently happens on Etsy. And then you end up with phone calls or other delays that take up your time and might make your orders late. However, I have not had a single issue with any of the American Express cards that I use, both personal and business. And to be frank, I have redeemed well over tens of thousands of dollars in business class flights and luxury hotels. So if you do want to experience the same kinds of upgrades to fancy hotel suites and champagne-filled flights, definitely things I never could or would have otherwise been able to afford as a middle school teacher, I do have links down below where you can sign up for the same credit cards I use, and you can begin to travel literally for free. And one last trick that does also save me a ton of money is to use Printify Premium. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. Printify Premium is available as a monthly or yearly subscription service that gives you a discount on the items that you order. For myself, the monthly subscription service literally pays for itself within a day, with sometimes $1 or more off per item, and I truly appreciate this. It might not be something you feel you're able to do right out of the gate, but definitely take advantage of signing up prior to major holidays or when you do start to get a larger influx of orders. Also, if you don't use Printify yet but would like to try it out, I do have a link down below for you to get started, and I would love to hear your feedback on how it works for you. If there's anything that I've left out of this video that you've learned from selling on Printify, definitely let me know down below in the comments. And as always, I wish you all the very best of success in building your Etsy shop for today, tomorrow, and for well into the future. See you later, superstar.